Muhammad Buhari, President of Nigeria, and Omar al-Bashir, President of Sudan, to discuss the realities, challenges, and opportunities within the African continent. Over 2 days, from 20 to 21st February 2016, international influential business leaders and investors from all over the world met to tackle some key issues in an increasingly complex global economic context and to share insights and experiences with companies and organizations that were driving growth and investments across Africa. Some 1,500 delegations from Africa and the world were attending the forum, which covered multiple sectors including energy, ICT, financial services, trade, agribusiness, pharmaceuticals, and health. In inaugurating the forum and welcoming the delegates, President Sisi said that the forum not only aimed to present investment opportunities that Africa offered to the international business community, but also aimed to pave the way for more communication and cooperation. Sisi said that attaining development is the main challenge facing Africa and requires developing mechanisms of African joint action, especially in light of the need of implementing mega regional projects in several spheres. In a special address, Hailemariam Desalegn, the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, said that Africa was no longer the dark continent of strife, but it is now the home to the world's fastest economies. The president of the African Development Bank also said that breaking down the barrier was the key to Africa's long-term growth and prosperity. He said that the Africa Rising story was not over, adding that as Africa's growth is projected at 4.4% and will strengthen forward to 15% in 2017. He also added that some challenges needed to be tackled in order to unlock the enormous potential of the African countries. Heba Salama, director of the COMESA Regional Investment Agency and the official partner of Africa 2016, said that Africa is the growth story of the century. Hazem Fahmy, Secretary General of the EAPD, Egyptian Agency for Partnership and Development within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, one of the forum's organizers, closed the session with these words that one hand alone cannot clap, stressing the necessity for African countries to work closely together. He stressed the need for Africa 2016 to become a regular event. During the presidential panel that followed the opening remarks, some of the challenges cited, including the adverse effects of the economic downturn, the low price of oil, local terrorism, mono economies, corruption, and slow infrastructure development on the growth prospects of their economy. The panel expressed optimism about the opportunities available in diversification into agriculture and solid mineral mining, infrastructure development, and increased trade between countries. Sindusu Nguina, COMESA Secretary General, summed up the key message of the day, saying that they needed to change the narrative from Africa is rising to Africa is rising within confidence.
Mr. Ambassador, key sectors actually in Africa are mainly growth in different fields like healthcare. We're talking about energy, we're talking about ICT, agriculture. I guess the agency has more than one sense of partnership in that field.
Yes. Actually, as I mentioned, in the area of agriculture, for example, we do have one of our main partners is the Egyptian International Center for Agriculture. And by the way, it provides training courses not only for Africans, but people from Asia and Latin America. But we as an agency, we're focused on Africa. And they do a lot in terms of training African farmers and others in how to plan for a lot of in the agriculture area. And sometimes they have very specified targeted courses like for rice cultivation, for beehives, it depends on the requests that we get. And they're all very beneficial for those who get this knowledge and know-how when they go back to their countries. And of course, agriculture is still one of the major sectors in the African continent, so it does have a great impact on many lives in that sense, including the issue of empowerment of women and rural women in particular in Africa. Some of the partners we have also in the area of ICT. Actually, in the forum, we have a major initiative with a major IT company and with the Children's Cancer Hospital and the Siddhartha Center for European Arab Environment. We are trying to build an information hub And this is will be like as a present from Egypt to Africa, because as you know, since the crisis of Ebola, one of the major lessons that were learned, that the information was so disintegrated and there was lack of coordination in it. So one simple instrument to use some technological solutions is that you gather data in one hub that explains traces the disease, see how it's spreading, explains how to deal with it. And it's not only in Ebola, any outbreak of other diseases, the issue of data is extremely important. And you can use also the cell phone technology, the social media, and many other modern technology areas in the ICT to be able to perform this, and it will save thousands, if not millions, of lives. So we are very optimistic and looking forward for it. You might be aware that physically there is a Center of Disease Control for Africa being established in Addis Ababa. It has 5 regional hubs. One of them is going to be in Cairo. But also, besides that, this hub that we are doing is going to be like a virtual Center of Disease Control. So it's extremely powerful, extremely important, and having endogenous Egyptian capacities in developing this also transposes a lot of Egyptian experience to Africa and make use of the niche we have also in information and communication technology. So as I said, we are harnessing also this expertise we have in that area. Plus we have a lot of ICT companies working in Africa. One of our major private sector companies that did design the smart village in Egypt is actually designing another one in one brother African country, and they are going for bids, and these are, by the way, very sophisticated villages that cost billions of dollars. So the fact that we do have a niche in this area is extremely important as well.
Right. Well, Africa has a vast potential, and the agency would definitely like to unleash more potential in the African continent. And given the diverse speciality of the different African countries, how are we managing to do that? How are we unleashing potential that was not there before?
Well, as I told you, for example, in the forum we just had, we chose mainly 5 sectors which are extremely important and driving growth in Africa. Energy, information communication technology, agriculture, health and pharmaceuticals. I mean, all these areas and infrastructure, we have very competitive companies in it, and all these areas are expecting to double and triple and quadruple in the coming few years in Africa. So we hope that if God willing, we do this on a periodic basis, each year or two when you have that forum, you choose other sectors. So as time by, you cover almost all sectors that are available. You stimulate the private sector demand and interaction with each other. So there is no way you can have it all in one shot. So you should plan it in a gradual way. Yes.
Well, more concerning your agenda at the agency and a sense of prioritizing areas.
Yes.
What are the priorities meantime?
Well, of course, I mean, our natural immediate sphere is the Nile Basin countries. I mean, they're extremely important, of course, and the Horn of Africa and what we call the Sahel and Sahara, and a lot of also countries that are bond us through the what we call the Organization of Islamic Conference or Islamic Cooperation now. So, I mean, we have several spheres, but this is how it grows. I mean, the Nile Basin is the priority, and then the rest comes, of course, in that area. However, that does not mean that we only focus on the area of priority, because there are also different niches. For example, if you talk about like trade and investments, you have, I mean, the largest 2 African economies beside Egypt, for example, is Nigeria and South Africa. So you cannot ignore them because you are focusing on your immediate surroundings. So you need to work on many tracks with different speeds depending on the availabilities. Plus, we are an enabler and a facilitator. I mean, we are not really driving the thing by ourselves, but we try to facilitate and make the connections for it. And this is where the beauty of partnerships comes, where you can leverage a lot of big results with not so big resources.
Egypt is back to Africa, and after the revolution, I guess Africans themselves felt that there is a sense of change. In what way are we looking forward for the next steps of this sense of partnership in the future?
Actually, I can only tell you that the sky is the limit. We are overwhelmed with a lot of initiatives and a lot of, thanks God, also achievements in a short period. And I can tell you that when we meet our African brothers and sisters, whether they come for training or whether we send experts to them, or like convoys, medical convoys like Dr. Magdi Aoub, or we do a lot, by the way, also with the Ministry of Health here. We just had a very successful envoy to Eritrea and one before it to Ghana. And the results are just incredible, and it has a very much human touch on all this. So I mean, you always have, of course, to plan within the resources you have. But as I told you, the sky is the limit. But also we try to find areas where there is maximum impact, maximum interaction, and maximum visibility also, because I honestly think one of the things that we as Africans have to concentrate on as we move forward is also this issue of emerging a common identity. Because if you go to areas like the European Union, it is very strong. They have it in schools. They have it. I mean, they feel that there's a common identity. I think we need to work on this aggressively in Africa, and we need not to be proud of it. Because also, sometimes when we meet each other, we're not very developed and so on. But no, I mean, we have a great potential. Exactly, yeah, that's very important. Making that psychological shift is extremely important. And as we interact and we have these high impact things, people start to be more confident in the way that we can support each other and interact, and it has a very positive impact in that regard.
Definitely, Africa's rising story is never over.
Yeah.
But we need that it happens with a sense of creativity.
Absolutely. Can't agree more.
Yeah. So, what other areas, Ambassador Fahmy, that you think we need to deliver more and work hard more to support our African brothers?
Of course, there is one area that we also do a lot in, but the agency is not as active as it should be in, is the area of education. We do have actually thousands of African students in Egyptian universities all over. And I give you a very simple example. For example, a brotherly country like Southern Sudan. Half of the cabinet are graduates of Egyptian universities. And you find that also in many of the brothers who come here, they tell you, well, my father or my uncle or whatever studied in Egypt at a certain point. So I think this area of education also is extremely important, is extremely fertile. It just needs a longer term of commitment, because people come in, they stay for a longer time and so on. So even though as an agency we have perfected medium to short term courses, I think this longer period as well is extremely important. In that regard.
Concerning vocational training as well.
Yes.
That's on the agenda too.
It is, and actually we did finance 2 or 3 vocational schools being built in some African countries where we provided the machines and the expertise for that.
Yeah, because we do have professionals in that field.
Yes, and it's very important also in employment creation, and it has a big impact on the communities through which it's established. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. How about the challenges that are facing the agency? There are dreams, but there are also challenges.
Yes. Yeah. Of course, there is an intellectual challenge when you have to focus on certain areas and you cannot be all over the place doing a lot of things.
Yes.
And of course, I would come back again to this business model of partnerships. It's a very rich model. It's a very important and crucial one, but also you have to be very careful in choosing your partners and the terms to which these partnerships are done. And also, I must say, bureaucratically, our system is not built in or made easy to adapt to this partnership. So there's a lot of bureaucratic hurdles you have to overpass while you are creating this partnership. So I think as time goes by, I think as a country as a whole, the culture needs to change a lot to be more acceptable to this way of doing business. Of course, with the right stabilizers and watching out so that it doesn't go out of control as well. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. More concerning other areas like mineral mining, like we talked about infrastructure, but concerning infrastructure development.